Fanny got buffed, energy usage has gone down, so Fanny becomes overall easier to execute, a lot more margins for errors with your steel cable, and we know that Too Easy for Lexi loves that Fanny pick.
The only reason why you let go of a Fanny, if you have clear confirmation this guy cannot use a Fanny to save his life. That's the only way. Even a mediocre Fanny is so strong.
A Fanny that can use her cables effectively is a good enough Fanny, I think. It's a good enough Fanny. That's kind of like the benchmark. Loyi ban now, so you take away utility from the side of Dianfeng Yao Guai. This ban is very important, right? So they ban a Fanny, so Khalid, Gatot, they all go through.
Let's see here. Suyo as well,
Suyo.
Alpha.
Nolan.
This really sets up what Nightmare really wants, because in terms of the junglers, I kind of feel like you're spoiled for choice. A lot of options here. Goalie, a lot of choices here. We've seen previously before, Hylos as well as Phoveus being a priority. But Cho as well. Cho could be a contestant here as well.
It has been a big first phase pick for red side, not so much for blue side, because you're much more rather go for Khalid. The heroes like Khalid and Gatot, yep, Khalid kind of goes through. But interestingly enough, you can still flex the Khalid into the roam if there's a need for it.
Exactly. As you guys can see here on graphic, one of the advancements of technology.
Ah, yes.
Now we can see if the hero got nerfed or buffed. The nerf for Khalid is that lower attack growth as well as lower damage reduction when he's using his quick sun guard. But trust me, Khalid still does his job well, is still very strong, definitely still in the meta.
It would feel the nerf would feel a lot more better if they didn't nerf base HP.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and then it would feel a lot more impactful. Like when they nerf the HP, then they nerf his damage. It kind of balances it out. We see the Phoveus as a response. Obviously, the downside is that you don't move as fast as the Khalid, but you have a very stable laning phase alongside the Eve.
Looks like Coach Sasa here wants some control in his lineup, having the Phoveus, having this Eve, and now we're looking instantly the difference here. Control from Tianfeng Yao Guai. Nightmare wants to dive. They want to go in. They want to fight. They got a Khalid. They got a Matilda. They got an Alpha. Hello? Fight?
It's all about playing fast, right? You want to control an area. Well, what if we extend that play area? What if we get to maneuver around and you can't really keep us with that real-world manipulation? It's a headache for Phoveus as well, because you think Infernal Pursuit helps you catch up to people, not if they are just gliding around the map.
Long has to be careful of what hero he picks up. Right now, Dianfeng Yao Guai, they want to match the speed. They pick up the Nolan. So this is also another thing that we have to put into consideration. CEO Amazing Hero got nerfed.
Yeah.
And I feel like the nerf is very important, from 1,000 to 500 cap for that execution damage from his second skill. I really feel like it's a big deal. I want to talk about this Matilda, where any lineup with Matilda, both gold lane and EXP, you don't have a good time, because the rotation from mid is much faster than what you guys can have, unless you guys have a Farsa, which we can see here is not the case. So Dianfeng Yao Guai, they already have to pre-plan. Whatever hero they're gonna give to Long is gonna be able to essentially survive by himself.
At the same time, I mean, they're banning out mid laners as expected. Vexana banned out, the Cho banned out by the side of Dianfeng Yao Guai. But another hero that Nightmare can consider could be Valentina, just because there is the real-world manipulation on the side of Dianfeng Yao Guai, which you can steal. And Control Mage, imagine getting the RWM on the side of Nightmare Esports against this DFYG comp. It feels quite nice to be able to stall out the tempo of both the Phoveus and the Nolan. The Kadita bundle, this one I did not expect it at all.
No, I tried out Kadita. It takes some time to get used to the new speed of executing her skills, but the damage is legit husky. It's really strong, and it's one of those heroes that even if you don't kill the Eve, because the Eve builds tanky or whatever, it's enough. It's enough to make sure that they don't stay in the fight for a very, very long time. So I respect the Eve ban here. For Nightmare, I agree with what you say about the Valentina, but I also have to say, I almost feel like no matter what they pick up as their mid here, they can't go wrong. They already have a very solid 3 heroes pickup.
Yeah, I think Aurora also is another option, right? Now that it is kind of let through, they even banned out the Hylos, so even if Dianfeng Yao Guai wants to play fast with this Eve, Nolan, Phoveus, they can't do it. So the other option is to give that signature Bruno over to Long.
And again, we gotta see if Long can survive the ganks coming in from Nightmare.
I'll tell you though, if there's a chance he goes second or third item, Malefic Gun, and once he hits that, and they survive the first 8 minutes of the game, that's where it gets troublesome for Nightmare Esports, because Bruno crits are extremely devastating. When your roamer has low health pool like a Matilda, he just blows through your health bar in 3 shots.
You don't have to convince me, man. I agree with you, man. Especially Matilda, first item is going to be Flaccid Oasis. You don't really have a lot of HP. You're only hoping for your shields. And now the last 2 picks coming in from Nightmare. They still need a mid laner. They still need a gold laner. What is going to be the choice here for Nightmare? It looks like they're going to lock in the Beatrix as well as the Valentina. You called it, Husky.
Yeah. I was thinking of the Valentina, but the Beatrix also came into my mind. Since you want to be able to play fast, you want to be able to play early to mid, you want to match range, you have Valentina for the control, but you also have Beatrix, right? Renner, you have the Rockets as well, the Bandit's Rage. All of these are great because Dianfeng Yaoguai wants to play in a close quarter combat. They want to play in a controlled environment. In this case, roamer-wise, if you want to continue down this route, Tigreal kind of feels okay now that Cho and Hylos are out of the picture. If not, there's actually not much setup
There's
left
not much.
though. Yeah.
There really is not much. Maybe something like a Kufra could possibly do something. But the Tigreal is best because you can handle the alpha, right?
The power of light incarnate.
So they pick up the Kaja.
Dado too, yeah.
Honestly, Kaja is the changes. Kaja's first skill can lower enemies' damage, and that's very, very impactful when everyone wants to deal damage. So honestly, this is a very good pickup. We just have to see how's the execution.
Yeah, you know what they say, if you want to take the Matilda Express, you can't do that if you're suppressed, right? No amount of Purify can help you out of that Divine Judgment. So I like this pick-off comp, at least the pick-off utility that Dianfeng Yaoguai has got them for themselves. Both teams have very different stories. DFYG wants to be the second Chinese team to qualify for Swiss stage, but for Nightmare Esports, it's been 3 years since they made it to main stage. This could be the beginning of that era once more.
Looking at both teams, all has talking to their coaches. They all understand the game plan. This is the opening match for the wild card M6 here in Malaysia. Nightmare going up against Dianfeng Yaoguai. Who will win the first match? Who will have the advantage in their groups?
It's going to be exciting as we will jump onto the land of dawn right at this moment. Nightmare Esports on blue side, Dianfeng Yaoguai on red. Right off the bat, we see the jungle path, complete opposite, right? Too Easy Alexi starting on purple, Zed on orange.
Yeah, but they are starting on the same side of the map here. Oh, it looks like Matilda there is, I think he got the buff.
Wait, did he?
Oh, no, he didn't.
Oh,
because,
it got me heart attack.
no, because I saw Zed's level and it's like, wait, was it level 1? No, it's still level 2. So I legit thought he got the buff.
That would be a nightmare, let me tell you. But of course, we gotta remind people that the M6 Pass is now available from 18th of November to 29th of December. So complete active tasks, you got plenty of rewards that you can go for, including the Claude Battle Emote, M6 Avatar, Glory Avatar Border, Boxer Battle Emote, and a lot more. You max it out, you get the Claude statue.
Oh yeah, and if you guys don't know how that looks like later on during the caster cam, you guys can see the table. But looking at the rotations here, it looks like everyone understands controlling the river is going to be the priority here. PCU as well is basically moving around with Jasmine. He's mirroring Jasmine, making sure that he sees where he's going.
I gotta say, he's doing a pretty good job at it, right? Jasmine forced to take that recall. That damage from Kaja is pretty deadly, and Zed, he's just gonna pass through that mid side to allow E1 to start moving around the map.
Is that an orange buff on PCU?
It is?
That's an orange buff,
He stole an orange buff. Oh my goodness.
Now, okay. Because I know, like I felt like one buff was stolen. I just didn't know who. I thought it was Jasmine, but okay. Apparently it was PCU.
I have a feeling he probably forced the retreat out at the purple buff. First turtle fight though. No, none of the Romans are level 4 yet, but you can see the damage from Dianfeng Yaoguai committing KVJ. The Inferno Pursuit takes first blood as the Retribution comes through. Dianfeng Yaoguai finds 2 kills and a turtle.
This is the aggression that we want to see. We want to see Dianfeng Yaoguai move forward from their previous playstyle, and now they're looking very, very aggressive. Long
X is gonna flicker for it. Solo kill almost achieved. Cammy barely gets out as Soso arrives, steals the worldie, goes in Shadow Strike, finds the Terrify, commits the worldie, but Long, he's looking to fight back the crit. Snipe committed! Cammy trades it back, but E1 finds the trade. And at the end of the day, Dianfeng Yaoguai still comes out on top.
Let me just say, Cammy took a very big risk there.
Yeah.
And he died, but he got a kill. So even I'm not sure whether it's worth it or not, but mentally, that's worth it. Killing with a snipe feels so good.
Yeah. Every basic attack from the Bruno, even in the early game, right? It's like the roll of the dice. Do I get a crit? That last hit after the flicker was not a critical. That would have been a solo kill for Long. So slightly unfortunate, but overall, PCO does have Divine Judgment. It's going to commit it onto Jasmine as Zed shows up, fractures him into pieces. Dianfeng Yaoguai with the 4th kill. But Nightmare Esports not done just yet. Spear of Alpha completely misses. Zed will be able to dash away.
2Z for Lexi so far, I've seen making a lot of micro mistakes. We saw that basically whiffed ult, but even the jungle camp out top, he didn't last hit it. The last hit actually went to PCU, and now Zed having the Blade of Hephaestus. If you thought he had a lot of damage before, now even the tank is going to feel it.
Yeah, almost a 2k gold lead for Dianfeng Yaoguai at under 4 minutes. For those who have used your guest coins for the M6 pass, you might want to hold your breath for a bit because DFYG looking solid in this early game. First item priority, Haas Claw for Long completed just at that 4-minute mark.
Yeah, and right now we can see Cammy desperately trying to get his first item as well, taking the mid lane. Right now Zed and Tweezy for Lexi. Looks like Zed is going to be the one to secure the orange buff. Tweezy for Lexi on the alpha right now is not feeling all too comfortable.
It's very devastating when you're up against the Nolan and the Nolan starts getting a hit, right? Then because you always reach your jungle camp first, always moves faster, thanks to just the difference in mobility. And with KelVJ in the front line, it's going to be hard. Jasmine finds the back line. KelVJ will just try to block them all out. RWM comes through. Zed does go down to 2-easy for Lexi, but KelVJ will respond with the Infernal Pursuit. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Turtle for Nightmare. Soso looking to get away, and both teams trade 1-for-1.
Soso was able to get the Divine Judgment, and I kind of feel like that really impacted the fight, making sure that not all the damage from Dianfeng Yaoguai actually moves forward. And 2-easy for Lexi, he actually got a solid ult over to Zed. That's a big game changer. The fact that they're able to take down the Nolan first, making it so that this Lord fight, this turtle fight is just a fight. You're not really contesting for the turtle anymore. And they still got the turtle.
Yeah. I mean, first 2 turtle fights have really came down to who can take down the enemy jungler first, right? You just get that free retribution. So both teams, they ended up trading even. Dianfeng Yaoguai still in the lead, but there was close to 1,000 gold swing in favor of Nightmare. And I think right now, DFYG, they gotta reconsider certain options, especially when Oppa is starting to move around the map.
Something that Nightmare has shown as well. Their dive Husky is very strong when the Khalid is there, right? His Raging Sandstorm, too easy for Lexi's dive as well. Soso can take the Divine Judgment. And now, Dianfeng Yaoguai, they gotta take this turret, but now they gotta leave because the engage from Nightmare is just there.
Yeah, the target is gonna be Long. It will be circling Ego, committing Raging Sandstorm, flicking away. Long will dodge it as Soso joins the fight. RWM from E1, controlling the backline of Nightmare Esports. They just cannot get out. Killing spree for E1. A solo kill happened off screen as Zed takes out 2-easy for Lexi. Dianfeng Yaoguai with 2 kills.
Something that was not planned there, Husky. Nightmare Esports, it looked like they were still discussing whether they want to engage or they want to back off. But now, looks like pressure by Dianfeng Yaoguai here in the mid.
Wow, RWM into the Bandit's Rage is so deadly. Zed knocked out by the circling Ego and still gets out, even taking Cammy's life with him. Dianfeng Yaoguai is so good at these short skirmishes.
Oh yeah, very good. Like, they understand the meta.
Yeah.
It's all about burst. Take someone down, get out. Take someone down, get out. It's not about prolonged team fights anymore. You get what you want, reset, do it all over again.
When you have someone like Nolan, low cooldown, consistent damage, you are always looking for these short bursts. And it's one of the few heroes that has that capacity when you compare it to other assassins. No one comes close to Nolan to having short cooldowns and consistent bursts every 5 to 10 seconds. Now Turtle in control by Chinese team. Dianfeng Yaoguai finds the suppression. Jasmine needs to get out. Worldy committed. It's going to bounce around the camp. Turtle for the red side. And Dianfeng Yaoguai will not put pressure on that bot turret.
Oh yeah, and it looks like with the lead that they have, over 3,000 gold here, they might be able to secure this. And I want to talk about the systematic movements coming in from DFYG. They got top, they got mid, now they want bottom. They want all outer turrets first.
Balance Rage committed, completely goes wide. They do keep that structure alive, but I feel like if you're a Nightmare, you need to look for avenues elsewhere. They find the control onto Zed, who's looking to get away, but gets dunked on by the Raging Sandstorm. A good pickup. E1 gets pulled back, but unfortunately, no confirmation for Nightmare.
Speaking of Nightmare, this is a very bad situation for Cammy. 7 minutes in, almost 8 minutes. And only now getting the first item, the Blade of Despair. That's a very late first item time for any marksman. It's clear that Cammy did not have a good laning phase. 7 minutes in, first item. Usually for a Beatrix, you're looking at 5 to 6 minutes.
Yeah. Despite getting the solo kill, he ended up getting traded. Now Oppa will be pulled back. They will kidnap this Khalid. Gets pulled out by the Matilda. So a good escape from Nightmare Esports. They will get control of top tier 1, at least. PCO has the flicker, but with him into Long. Long now has the flicker. A good Raging Sandstorm from Oppa to secure 2 kills for Nightmare. But KelVJ is in the backline. Oppa will be traded back. KelVJ got the flicker away. Darkwave pulls Cammy back in front of Pursuit. Over the wall. Too easy for Lexi. Gets Zed. KelVJ continues to fight, but runs out of resources as Cammy picks up that one.
Despite Too Easy for Lexi having a bad time in the early game, but now he's really working as a peel. And it looks like Cammy might be having that as slow first item because building up to multiple items at once, because immediately after that, Cammy got the Malefic Gun. So honestly, it's still good timing here for Cammy. Yeah, looking at the items, it looks like he's building. First item took so long.
Next item to be Malefic Gun. A bit of a micro mistake from DFYG. They got the fleeting time onto PCU right before the top 5, but he ended up bringing Jasmine into his own gold lane, resulting in a fight loss. But luckily, they have a decent lead still, right? Almost 2,000. They have control of the Lord. They just gotta remember that you have to go in and out fast.
You gotta look at PCU. Right now, Conceal. Will he get Jasmine?
Yeah, if you take out Jasmine, that's a good start. That completely stops Nightmare from having any authority in taking these long drawn-out fights. They will try to jump onto PCU though, but again, he has fleeting time, so the Divine Judgment has reduced cooldown. Lord is incredibly low, too easy for Lexi. Has a chance to go for the dice roll. They goes to RWM, trading both sides, but it's Zed that comes out on top. They take out the Alpha, and DFYG continues the dominance. Oppa goes down, 2 more kills and a Lord.
Zed is having an amazing game for himself, winning out that Retribution battle. It did seem like DFYG, this is on purpose. They wanted to fight. They didn't want the Lord first. They want to make sure that they have the numbers game unlocked. They want to make sure that they have more priority in terms of the number of players around the Lord, and then they executed on it. That was an amazing play coming in from DFYG.
I agree. Even the usage of the RWM, even though Nightmare Esports so stole it, but you see the placement, right? DFYG completely boxed off Too Easy Luxy from the rest of his team. He had to commit the Spirit of Alpha just to attempt a steal. So at the end of the day, I think the onus is always going to be on Nightmare to make that counter move, but you can't do it because there's a Kaja on the other side waiting to pull you into oblivion.
Yi1 having the highest damage here. Conceal play. It looks like they're not going to take it. They're just going to use the conceal to grab a free turret here. But yeah, Yi1 hasn't died yet. Highest damage in the game by far. The front lines from Nightmare is not having a good time. But if that's the only case, no problem. But the thing is, even the back lines is having problems.
Yeah. The biggest, and on top of that, when your roamer is the Matilda, you saw that one Void Crystal, right?
Yeah.
That one blast took away like, what, 15% of Jasmine's HP. You cannot kind of go for these trades anymore. Who's going to check the bush? You can't do it because there's PCU just waiting as the Kaja to pull you away. And every single kill and assist conversion, every single takedown becomes an advantage.
Look at itemization here. How is the Matilda supposed to actually tank 2 magic items here? Not defensive. And now PCU, he has the fleeting time. So whoever he picks off and gets another kill, he basically can have 2 Divine Judgments in one team fight. The Malefic Gun as well, like you said, Husky, has been built by Long. So you have the range, you have the damage, you have the penetration. This Bruno is online.
This Bruno has already reach that critical mass. And if you're Nightmare Esports, you're asking yourself right now, how do we get to the Bruno? We have to commit flickers for sure, but it
Opera,
guarantees nothing, right?
It's Opera and Jasmine, they got to make it happen.
Man,
I
agree.
No, here's the thing, Husky. It's not just Long. If they can get Long and Yiwon, that's what they want.
It's asking too much though.
Hey, if you want to win, you got to make the impossible possible.
You're correct. Got to be greater than ever. It's one of the moments. Circling Eagle only onto PCU. That's really not the guy you want to commit on. They will still try. So-so. Oh my god, that's 3 shots from Long. If only the first one was the crit, that would have been an instant kill.
Valentina's very small weakness is rage, man, because she's a mid-range hero. And most marksmen with Malefic Gun outranges her by so far. It's really hard for Valentina in this situation to really get something done.
PCU has no flicker. He sees the happening almost. Post So-so, Lord slain by Dianfeng Yaoguai. So second Lord for them, 13 minutes into the game. This is going to allow them to start breaking inhibitors. But I'm going to ask you, Lofel, if this game goes late, right? If we hit critical mass, both teams reaching that 50k net worth, is it still an even game, or do you feel like just because of the team comp of Dianfeng Yaoguai, they have that advantage?
Dianfeng Yaoguai has an advantage where they can always make a fight 4v5 because of the Kaja. Nightmare Esports, they have an advantage because their marksmen can deal AoE damage. So Nightmare Esports, they can definitely do it because Beatrix is one of the best scaling heroes in the game. The only problem is this Kaja always makes it unfair.
Yeah. They'll try and go on to Long, but you see that range from the Malefic Gun. Couple of hits is all it takes. No Abandon's Rage already. They try to clear the wave out, but that's 2 inhibitors down. Doesn't help when the Lord is crashing in. Dianfeng Yaoguai looking for a potential game 1, or at least that opportunity. RWM committed by E1. Tries to force away Nightmare Esports, but the team not really following up with it. All they care about is the structures. They get all 3 hits.
Right now, no more inhibitors for Nightmare Esports. And the thing that made them survive this long is the fact that PCU doesn't have a flicker. If he had a flicker, trust me, Husky, they would force it. They would force it.
I can see that happening. You did point out that, you know, for the coaching staff of Dianfeng Yaoguai, you got Sasa, who's looking at the fundamentals. You're seeing it really built up very well. There's a burst opportunity on the offer. They will not commit the Divine Judgment just yet, but here Jasmine. They go. Jasmine getting caught out of position, and Dianfeng Yaoguai opportunistic.
0, 2, and 10. The only thing is he uses flicker as well, so they can't force an engagement after this unless KillVJ actually wants the front line, wants to force a fight here.
There is no way, but it feels like they're gonna try anyways. Too easy for Lexi, finds the Spear of Alpha, but the damage is just too much. They even missed the Nibiru's Passion from Cammy, and now Dianfeng Yaoguai will just tap the crystal. Game number 1 going over to DFYG.
Dianfeng Yaoguai starts off amazingly strong. Just from this one battle, Husky. Let me remind you, the last time the Chinese region was here, they couldn't win a single match in the M5 wildcard.
Yeah.
Starting M6 wildcard, very first game, they got their W.
I know it's early to say this, but it's a preview of how far the region has come, right? Last year we saw KBG, and imagine KBG was the team that beat Dianfeng Yaoguai twice in the playoffs, knocked them into the lower bracket, beat them in the finals again before the M6 Swiss stage and wildcard. So at the end of the day, if this is a preview, a taste of what the second seed of the Chinese region has to offer, I am looking forward to the rest of M6.
And again, we gotta talk about what really happened in that game, right? Where it's about understanding. Fundamentally, what did the patch note tell us? Everyone's HP pool has been reduced, so burst damage is very, very strong. You got the Bruno, you got the Nolan, and you got the Kaja. This is a recipe to make sure that the opposing side doesn't have a chance to deal with your damage. And the fact that they have an Eve, just in case if something goes wrong, amazing drafting coming in from Dianfeng Yaoguai.
Yeah, you got the Eve and the Phobius as kind of like the front lines, right? The phalanx of the team. And at the same time, you also have to look at the minor details that happen. PCU stealing that orange buff, absolute disaster for the Alpha in the early game.
Shows in this game, you just need one small mistake to really turn the tides of the game. where we will be looking at the post-game stats after this, but Nightmare Esports, their draft was absolutely amazing as well. It's just that their win condition is much more niche. It's much more narrow. The fact that they need to win the laning phase in the early stages of the game, and they were able to do that, made it so that their draft was much more difficult to pilot.
I think the question always comes down to, I want to play fast, and how does the enemy stop me from playing fast, right? I feel like when you look at Matilda and Alpha, it sometimes feels a bit weird because Alpha doesn't necessarily have the most burst damage. It's not a Nolan that can one-shot you at level 3. Alpha needs some time and more setup. So if the Nolan gets a head start, you see that impact instantly. Zed was just outpacing Too Easy for Lexi at every turn.
Right now, I want to look at the items. This is where I want to take my time here because both Cammy as well as Long have really showcased that the Malefic Gun Husky is really starting to be a part of the conversation in the meta here, where, like I said, range is also something that's very important in this current patch.
Yeah, we always have the golden rules of any mobile games where the further you are from your opponent, the better it is, the safer you are to do damage, right? The more damage you have, the easier it is to take down your opponents and end the fight. And the tankier you are, the easier it is for you to keep controlling your opponents. These golden rules now apply when you look at Malefic Gun, and it does make me wonder, are we going to finally start pivoting away from more late game focused heroes just because some of them don't really want the Malefic Gun?
I don't know, man. Looking at the way that DFYG plays, this is the first game. It's only 15 minutes. So I feel like going to the late game is pretty ambitious, personally for me. Because even the Roamer is building a fleeting time, which is not a staple tank item, right? More utility, more damage. And again, it really synergizes what we're talking about when we're talking about what the game really asks of us, which is more damage.
And you can even see that being reflected in the emblems and talents itself. Cammy went for tenacity as opposed to Long, who had the Master Assassin. And that kind of gives us a good idea of how Long was able to almost solo kill Cammy in that top side, in that early game, right? And you combine that with isolated targets, you want this Matilda to dive this Bruno, it is never gonna happen.
Yeah, Jasmine as well. Honestly, not his fault. In terms of the item or the emblem setup, this is how you build your Matilda. But now we got to look at the post-game stats here. Again, E1 having the most amount of damage, 95,000. But look at Nightmare. The most that they were able to do is around 40-ish thousand. Both Cammy as well as Soso unable to break 50k.
Yeah, it is really rough when your Valentina is literally the man that is dealing the most damage. But when you look at objective-wise, right, 2 out of 3 turtles for DFYG, both lords going to them. The buffs of 13 to 3, 12 to 4. How are you ever going to go into your jungle if you are too easy for Lexi?
Good eye, Husky. I kind of feel like if anyone wants to make an analysis, looking at the buff is actually the most important part. This shows pure jungle control by DFYG. So the draft is amazing.
Yeah.
But the way that they control the map has to be studied.
The power of the Nolan, right? Nolan, it's himself, is already great. If I move faster, I get to your camp first with Retribution. There's no way you can do with it. You'll never get your buff in time, but it doesn't help when the rest of the team is just following him. Imagine you try to contest your jungle camp and there's a Kaja waiting in the bush.
Yeah, the fact that Kaja slows you down as well makes it so that even if the Nolan is yards away, all of a sudden he's there. Just because the slow from Kaja really helps out a lot, making it so that Nolan easier for him to get into the fight. Now we got to transition into game number 2 because again, the draft from Nightmare is very solid. The only thing is the win condition is very niche and looks like against DFYG is difficult to execute. Or Nightmare can just go back to the same strat, except this time maybe the execution is a little bit different.
I think you also have to make some adjustments to the draft, right, on what you ban out. I think the Kaja now becomes a bit of a problem. Now the DFYG has shown it in game 1. But also that Fulvis into Khalid, I was expecting Oppa to move around a lot more often, but that didn't happen. We only saw him on the map post level 4, and by the time they've already started getting snowballed on. So I think some early game micro adjustment needs to be made, but MVP is E1 on the Eve. What can I say, right? It's just a premier Eve game.
what we can say is the amount of control that he really dealt. Like, he really showcased his job because he was able to deal a lot of damage, especially to the front lines. And this is what we really want to see. And I feel like Yi-Wan enables the team. The Kaja wants to catch someone and the Nolan wants to deal out the damage, but you're very much vulnerable whenever you do that. So having a control mage that does a lot of damage like Eve really activates your team, where it looks like you're vulnerable to be caught. You're vulnerable to making mistakes, but Yi-Wan is like, I got your back. You can do whatever you want. Any mistake will look like an opportunity.
Yeah. And I think when we look at the MVP highlights coming up, we would see kind of the dynamics between E1 and PSU, where every single time he gets dived, there is going to be a Divine Judgment waiting to be unleashed if it hasn't been used just yet. And if it has been used, you got Kel VJ just blocking off any sort of dive. It doesn't feel good if you're so trying to steal the RWM, because realistically, sure, you have the same Eve ultimate, but the effect is so much different because your team wants to go in, but they cannot because they get boxed off by the real-world manipulation.
Something kind of weird as well, I see multiple times, Yi-Wan even pseudo body blocks for Zed. Like the previous fight around mid, Zed was so low and Yi-Wan was actually intercepting the path between Nightmare Esports and Zed. So that he was like, yo, if someone's gonna die, it's not gonna be Zed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be controlling you guys. I might die, but as long as he gets away, we're all good.
That's a good teammate right there.
That's a good teammate.
I wouldn't do that. If you go down, that's your problem. Just play better, right?
That's the kind of thing that someone says when they go to 5 hours of rank and only winning 4 stars.
Let me tell you, it was a quite an experience.